Hi there, and welcome to the December edition of The Place to Be Oshkosh. I'm your host, John Neiman, Executive Director at Father Carr's Place to Be. What a wonderful show this is going to be because it's the holidays and everyone's excited, even though there's COVID going on and other things going on in our world. We remember the true meaning of Christmas and why we're here and what we're doing. And it's all about collaboration, working together. That's the purpose of the show, to highlight agencies and volunteers who make our community the wonderful place that it is, the place to be Oshkosh. Just a little news to share with you. Father Carr's once again is doing the Christmas Express drive-through. Because of COVID, we had changed things up a bit, and so we are doing our drive-through Christmas event for families. They can enter in their cars and they drive through our campus and they stop and see some wonderful Christmas things, like Julie's Touch of Silver will be there, and of course Santa will be there, and it's all from the safety of their car. And this is made possible by wonderful volunteers and of course donations. And so if you're interested in this, it is December 18th, and you have to call Father Carr's at 231-2378 to reserve your spot, because we're limited in how many vehicles we can take through our campus. But again, this is an example of people working together to offer something to families this Christmas season. Also want to talk a little about Thanksgiving and all the people that supported not only Father Carr's, but that supported all the local agencies, including our guests, Salvation Army. Father Carr's is just so grateful how people come together and they donate and give back to their community, either by time, talent, or treasure. This show is made possible by the Oshkosh Herald and all the Father Carr's Place to Be. And our wonderful set design is by Brian at UBloom. We're so excited to be here today, so stay tuned. We'll be right back with our guests from the Salvation Army.
Two, three. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back to the Place to Be Oshkosh. I'm very privileged to have some wonderful people here from the Salvation Army. I know you guys so well because I have to say, with Al, when I took the job at Father Carr's, he was one of the first people that I called and connected with and got a lot of useful information. And you, I look at your Facebook page and all the wonderful food that is on there and all the good things that you do. So would you guys like to introduce yourself and tell us what your role is at Salvation Army?
Sure. My name is Laura Salenka. I'm the kitchen coordinator at Salvation Army, and I've been there for about a year and a half.
And I'm Al Rolfe. I'm one of the community outreach specialists, and I've been there about 6.5 years.
6.5 years. So we know that there's something exciting. Let's get that right off the plate. There's something exciting going on at your old building. You want to talk about it?
Well, it's been a long time coming, but our building is undergoing an expansion and a remodel. We, over the years, with staff and programs and service, have kind of outgrown the building we were in. And so we're really excited to have this renovation and expansion project underway.
And when is the completion date?
We're hoping between March and April.
Oh, cool.
There are a lot of factors involved, obviously weather, et cetera, but we're hoping it
Exactly.
will be in that time frame.
And that would be a wonderful time of year for a grand opening too, you know, the spring. And Laura, let's talk kitchen facilities. How does your place that you're used to now compare with where you are now?
Sure. Well, we make do. In our actual facility, we have a commercial kitchen. It's great. A lot of workspace, some great oven space. And in our temporary facility, I'm cooking off of a regular stove like you would have in your house. So when our numbers have gotten up into were our highest, like 80
Wow.
something.
80s.
You know, all of that was being made on the little, that trooper of a stove that we have.
Wow, that's amazing. So are you still doing takeout?
Yes, yes. It's just we don't have the space inside for anyone to come in and sit.
Right.
And this all happened during COVID, so we already have been doing a walk-up style where we would hand the meal out the window. So it just kind of worked to keep doing it the same way. Although we do let them come in one at a time, and it gives us a chance to just connect with them and have a little visiting time, which is nice too, because without the cafeteria, I think a lot of our lunch guests miss that social time.
Exactly. So I think the one key word that came out of COVID is adapting. We've all learned to adapt to different things because of the COVID situation, changing things. So let's talk about your food pantry. Your food pantry adapted too. It used to be in person,
Correct.
and they used to go shopping.
Yes.
How do you do it now?
Right now, it's primarily carry-out. So we have many bags pre-bagged, a lot of food pre-bagged, and then we do get frozen meats and miscellaneous items that people can come in and actually choose. So we do kind of tailor make that part of their grocery order, so to speak. But as Laura said, when COVID hit, we went to this system that we have. And just because of the limited space now, it continues to be that model until we're in our new facility.
And that's exactly what Father Cars did too. We do a drive-through. And I know sometimes people like to pick and choose what they want, because after they go through the drive-through, they'll stop and they'll bring back the items that they don't want. But we do the same thing offering dairy products or salad products. We'll have them set out and say, what do you want from their car? They'll point and we'll give it to them. But you have to adapt and make do, and we serve quite a few people that way too, so that's really cool.
I think a lot of the clients, in a way, adapted too, because sometimes they will still take things and say, you know what, I have a neighbor I can share with, or I've definitely have heard that as well.
Yeah. Did you guys find that your numbers went down for a while with food requests, and now we're starting to go back up, like for the last couple of weeks? But there was that decline where all of a sudden people weren't coming, and I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if it was there were more resources out there for people, or did the stimulus checks have something to do with that, where they had more money for a while and they didn't need to come. But we see now too that the numbers are going back up for meals and also for the food pantry.
And I don't know where they went for that time being either. I think a lot of our agencies that serve the same population were finding the same thing, but I just figured I won't take it personally against my lunches. I'll just assume that they're finding their support somewhere. So that's a good thing too.
Yeah, and really, if you want to know what Salvation Army serves, go to their Facebook page, because they show the people. They show like Oshkosh. I want to always say Oshkosh Truck, but Oshkosh Defense.
Oh,
Corporation.
Corp grilling out for you guys, and the food is wonderful and it's nutritious, and it's a great thing that you guys do.
It's everything that we're blessed to receive from the wonderful supporters that we have. So a lot of the grocery stores, I don't know if people in general know, but the grocery stores do share their produce and things that are nearing expiration, and we follow the FDA guidelines as far as how long it still is good. We just use what we're given.
That's always been confusing to me as a shopper anyway, when you go in the store and they'll say sell by date or expire date. And you always get confused. Well, you have to sell it by this date, but it's still good for a while afterward. And then you have the expire date. But we have people like at Father Cars too who will look it all up and say this is what we can.
And it's available online.
Yes.
Anybody can look those charts up on the USDA.
So you don't have to be confused about all that stuff.
Right,
And you're right.
right.
Our community is so generous with donating back to places like yours and places like ours. That's really neat.
And restaurants also have been
Yes.
very generous.
Well, I know that you have lots of pictures to show, and everyone doesn't want to look at me, they'd rather look at pictures. So we can start with some of the pictures, and if you want to talk about them as Scott puts them on the screen.
Well, just by way of some of the overview of our services, I don't know if a lot of people do know, but Salvation Army, in addition to being a nonprofit social service agency, is also a church. And so we have Christian-based services. We have a Sunday school at 10 o'clock, Sunday mornings. We have our worship service at 11. Men and Women's Ministries on Tuesday afternoons. That's actually going on as we speak. We do have a children's after-school program Wednesday afternoons, which is on hold now until we're back in our new building. As Laura said, we just don't have the space. And we do have transportation available for all of our worship services. So it's, Christian-based, Bible-based, very informal church family we have. Our core officers also are ministers, so they can provide pastoral care, just kind of one-on-one spiritual care and ministry that they're able to provide, trying to develop trust, praying with people, perhaps trying to connect them with different opportunities for spiritual development. And then we have an initiative called Pathway of Hope, which is fairly new to the Salvation Army. And this is our voluntary case management program that we do with families with minor children that are struggling to meet the needs of their families. Kind of historically, what Salvation Army would see is somebody might come in with a presenting need. They need clothing, they need help with food, those sorts of things. And what we've seen is that oftentimes these families have multiple needs beyond what they're presenting with. And so we're able to meet with families, kind of figure out where would they like their family to be in 6 months or a year. We help establish goals with them. We look at the strengths the family has. What are they going to be able to provide to help meet these goals they've set? And what are the barriers? And so we work with them to really try to connect them with resources, either internally or in our community, to try to strengthen what's already there and to eliminate barriers so they're able to meet their goals.
So is that one of your roles as the social worker?
Yes.
That is.
Among others, but yes, that is one of the
I know what
primary
you mean.
the roles.
But that is a really cool thing too, because we actually have hired our first social worker, and we call ours our life enrichment program, and it's the same kind of thing. Once you set a goal and give people something to strive for, it makes a total huge difference in their lives.
Well, and I think a lot of people, when they are struggling, they start to become disillusioned, and I think oftentimes it's just having a support person that's kind of in their corner, backing them up, their cheerleader, so to speak. I think it gives them hope and confidence that they can continue moving forward and meeting their goals.
Okay. That's wonderful. Well, there we go. I was going to say, let's go to the next slide. I don't even have to say it.
So we do have some transportation assistance. So we do have bus tokens, not all the time, but when we do, those are primarily if people have an appointment they need to get to, or maybe a job interview or something like that. So those are limited. We do have gas cards for people. Primarily those are for individuals that have started employment and are not able to get there on the bus system or by other means. We do have to have them bring in a driver's license, vehicle registration, vehicle insurance, because the cards that we have are specific for gas only. And so we need to see those to verify they're legally able to drive in Wisconsin. We work with a program where volunteers get bicycles, repair them, and then we'll donate them with vouchers from us. And that program has been wonderful, especially for people, again, mostly employment, where they're working jobs either outside the bus line or before or after bus hours. And so we make a lot of use of that program, which has helped many, many people.
And that was one of the first things you shared with me.
Yes.
When I contacted you about the bicycle program, because he suits the bicycles to the needs of the person. I mean, he brought one over the other day that had a horn on it because she wanted a horn, and he had the baskets on the back of it. It was really, really cool. Can we give a shout out to him?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Steve Stegmeister, he is a retired police officer and has been doing this for many years. Has a lot of very dedicated volunteers. Also will help out with bicycle locks, helmets if they're available. So it really has been a tremendous service for many, many people in our community.
Perfect.
We also do provide veteran rides to the Appleton VA Clinic for medical appointments. If somebody is a veteran and needs a ride, they would just call and ask for Patty, who is our volunteer and events coordinator, and she would coordinate a ride with a certified volunteer driver.
So I'm wondering if our TV and radio audience is thinking to themselves, I did not know that. Because most people, when they think of Salvation Army, automatically think of food, or bell ringers.
The bells, yep.
That's what you think of, and I think that's why I love this program, is because we're learning about more of the things that you guys do that people just don't know about. So that's perfect. So I know the next slide talked about other things that you're offering too.
So we do work with local thrift stores where we can give vouchers, either for donation of clothing, furniture, household goods, or cash vouchers, so to speak. So people are able to get essentials like furniture, household goods, clothing if they need that. We also do work with the Winneconne Thrift and Gift and the Amro Thrift Store as well. They are in our service areas. I don't know if a lot of folks know that.
No.
But they will accept our vouchers as well if we have a resident from one of those cities where transportation to come to us would be problematic.
Okay.
And Laura talked about the lunch program. Right now it's being served Monday through Friday from 11 to noon. And anyone that's hungry is welcome. The meals are terrific. I can attest to that because if there's leftovers, I eat every day. And we've noticed, as you were saying, a gradual increase now again in the meals being served. So just a few numbers I'll throw out. The average meals per month in 2020 were 1,658. So that was on an average month. 2021, from January 1st through the end of October, it was 1,881. So we've already seen an increase in excess of 200 meals per month.
Wow.
So we are again seeing that gradual increase. We're anticipating our numbers will go up even higher once we are in our new facility and have a cafeteria sit-down meal available for people, as Laura said, not only for the meal but for the socialization.
Right.
So
as you look at the slide of the smiling faces serving the food, are these primarily volunteers?
Yes, they are.
Pretty much all volunteers. Yes. Yeah.
So, and that's just the great thing is you get these people to come in, and as we found out before too, just because somebody volunteers by you, they may be volunteering by me or at Mercy or anywhere else too, because people love to give back in many different ways.
We also do have a laundry program. So if we have families that have minor children who are struggling financially and don't have access to a washer and dryer, then every 6 months we can give them a card for a local laundromat that has money preloaded on it for the washers and dryers. And there's been research that supports, especially with children, that children that have good hygiene and clean clothes, they excel better at school because their self-worth is higher. Same with parents that are perhaps interviewing for employment. We want them to look their best so they're able to provide for their family. Some of our programs do have income verification, but in general, in the almost 7 years I've been there, we've never denied anyone a service, even though they might be a little bit over our guidelines, because if they're coming to us, they have a true need, and if we're able to meet it, we will. If families are receiving food share benefits, really all we need is to see their food share card, and that's all we need for income verification, because it shows there is a need existing already. So we do have a food pantry that provides groceries twice per month. That's open Monday through Friday from 9 to noon. And we do have diapers and hygiene products available. And for those, they, again, would verify income. But the pantry, as we said, is primarily a kind of a drive-up, drive-through model, although people do have choices with various canned items and frozen meats. So we have slowly seen an increase, again, in our pantry numbers that did drop during the pandemic. For our food pantry in 2020, we had almost 6,500 people we served, which equates to about 2,600 households. So there is, there is that need, and I know between various agencies that have pantries, I think we, were able to address that need.
And I do have to say, I have to think of you and us and the Oshkosh area community food pantry. We did this drive up before the grocery stores started doing that. Now it's popular, you call in your order, you sit there and pick it up, but we were doing that because we had to adapt to it. So kudos to all of us creative people.
Innovators.
At all of our agencies who are meeting the need of the people any way that we can.
Absolutely. and holiday assistance. So right now we're in the thick of our holiday activities. So we had a terrific Thanksgiving meal, and that was a sit-down meal. And we are doing a Christmas one, I believe, as well.
Not sit down, but it'll be a special meal.
A special meal for Christmas. Coats for kids. We had our coat distribution, and this year we distributed 633 coats through the Coats for Kids program. And we do have adult size coats because we consider kids from birth up to the age 18 as long as they're still in high school.
Right.
And so we are now distributing adult coats as well, kind of on an as-need basis. We did have some available at the Thanksgiving meal, and we distributed 15 adult coats there as well. We're also involved in our toy shop sign-up. And as of today, we had 1,881 kids registered for our toy shop. The registration now is closed because we're in the process of setting up, and we kind of have to do all the scheduling for the distributions. But we also, as we did with coats, we are doing a wait list because if we do have excess, which we do every year
Right.
with gifts, we want to be able to serve as many people as possible. So we are continuing to get calls every day. We are telling people we will put you on our wait list, that we can't guarantee we'll have everything
Right.
maybe that you need, but certainly we're going to be able to help some.
Are you then working with other agencies? Because I know when the United Way was doing this a while ago, they're always afraid of duplication of services that you'd get because the fire department does it, the Boys and Girls Club does it, we do it. Do you do anything to verify, or
We do. We have an adopt a family program. However, because of COVID last year and this year, it has been very limited to our Pathway of Hope families because it would have been more than we would have been able to do in our
Right.
current location and things. There are other agencies that do adopt a family programs as well, or some sort of similar type
Right.
program. So we have folks that are signing up, sign releases giving us permission to share the names with each other, so we do verify. And normally what happens is that people might be involved with Boys and Girls Club, for example, and they know they have that program. And then they know that we at Salvation Army have this program. And so they sign up for different programs, just assuming, that because they're out there, that they're able to do that.
Right.
But we do really try to limit it to one program per household.
which I think is good too, because the need is definitely out there.
Oh, yes.
And to have to turn away somebody else because we're double booking on something doesn't make sense. So, and again, it's people like the back to school fair. The back to school fair used to be so separate, and now it's all together and inclusive, and everybody's trying to include everyone, which turns out better for our community.
Absolutely. Our Salvation Army Corps is part of the back to school fair every year. And it's just a great collaborative effort, and it serves many, many children with
Yes.
not only school supplies and backpacks, but haircuts, clothing, shoes, those sorts of things.
All the essentials that you would give your college kids when they're going off
Yes.
to college. So
Yes.
yeah, that really has turned out well.
Yes.
And you probably have lots of volunteer opportunities at
We
Salvation
do.
Army.
We do. We're a very small staff, so we serve 60 plus meals every day. For one person, although she's amazing, would not be able to prepare meals for that many people, get them boxed up, get them served, do the cleanup afterward. The same with the pantry. We have a part-time pantry coordinator who would not be able to stock shelves, fill orders, enter data that needs to go in for serve.
Right.
And so we really do rely on our volunteers. And we have great volunteers that come through. Very dedicated, very knowledgeable, very fun. So year-round, we need help in our food pantry, the lunch program, the kids club assistance when we have our after-school program up and running, maintenance and driver assistance. So, for example, the veteran drivers,
Right.
the worship service. So we have opportunities, and it's limited right now. Again, I think COVID really impacted because we're at a temporary church location as
Yeah.
well.
Oh.
But different things to help out with worship service, Sunday school. If we have a number of very small kids, it might be helping with daycare. that sort of thing. So we have those opportunities year round. And then specific or seasonal ones are Coats for Kids. So that is helping to sort coats, distribute them, kind of walk families through so they're able to try coats on and get hats and scarves and mittens. With our toy shop, again, kind of sorting the toys by age and gender. And then the distribution days, walking through, helping parents pick out the gifts for their kids. The holiday meals, again, we do have volunteers every day that help with meals, but those holiday ones are generally much bigger and more involved. And so we do need volunteers specifically for that. And then bell ringing, as we kind of discussed, I think that's one of the things Salvation Army is probably most known for.
And 'tis the season.
It is the season, yes. So our bell ringing campaign is our largest fundraiser. And we have the bell ringing season. It's generally the first Friday of November through Christmas Eve. And if people do even have 2 hours that they're able to just to ring to support us, we greatly appreciate that. People can sign up either on Register to Ring, or they can call and just say, I'd like some assistance signing up for bell ringing, and we will certainly help them with that.
I mean, when you look at the pictures that are scrolling on our screen, everyone is smiling, and everybody knows somebody. So when you have special people or families there, they're bringing in other people to come and donate too. So I always do that. We have a couple people that always do it, and I have to go down there when she's bell ringing. I have to, or she looks for me, and it's just something that you do. But and you can't say Salvation Army without Helen Lord Burr.
Absolutely.
I mean, that lady was just tremendous. I mean, opening up her home to people and inviting people over for dinners and bell ringing. I mean,
yes. Instrumental in a lot of.
She was, oh, definitely.
Yes.
Well, and I think there's so much more we can learn about Salvation Army. We have maybe a minute and a half left. Anything else you want to talk about?
I think this is just such a great community to live in. Like you kind of touched on before, a lot of the collaboration, share a lot of volunteers, share a lot of clients. And I just think we work really well together and receive so much from restaurant owners, bakery owners, the grocery stores, and just everyday neighbors support all of our organizations, and it's a great thing. There's that saying from Gandhi, I should have looked it up again, but something about how great you can judge how great a society is by how they care for the most vulnerable. And Oshkosh is a great place.
Yes, it is.
Exactly. And you're in the same situation that kind of we are too. We are blessed, but we only have so much cooler space and so much freezer space, and we need bigger spaces to hold all of the food. So then we just share with everyone else who has a need at the time. And you guys are great at sharing too, because we got a phone call today today about you guys.
And after the
to share.
Thanksgiving dinner, because ours was a day before yours, so I called and asked you if you could take a pan of potatoes.
Yes, and that worked out so well because then it helped the residents that we have. So that was great. I love sharing collaboration. So you have 10 seconds, Al. What do you want to say?
I just want to say that it really has been a blessing in my life working with Salvation Army. And I think it's, as I said, a unique agency because we try to meet the physical needs of people as well as the spiritual. And so I really feel proud to be part of such a holistic agency.
Oh, thank you. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on. This is what the show is all about. This is the place to be if you want to learn about all the agencies and volunteers and people in Oshkosh, and we're so thrilled to have you. So thank you for watching our December show with the Salvation Army, and join us again for The Place to Be Oshkosh.